There are things that define war. Steel, fire, blood, strategy etched into maps, battles carved into history. But in 1944, in the heart of Nazi-occupied Europe, the United States Army quietly deployed a different kind of weapon. No rifles, no grenades, no tanks. Instead, they brought rubber, paint, speakers, and theater. The Germans saw them, heard them, feared them, and yet, they were never really there. This is the story of the Ghost Army, a secret unit of artists and illusionists who changed the course of World War II without ever firing a shot. It's not fiction, it's not a movie, it's real. And for over 50 years, the US government didn't want anyone to know about it. In January 1944, deep within the planning rooms of Allied High Command, a bold idea was approved. What if you could fool the enemy, not just with camouflage or misdirection, but with an entire phantom army? The idea was inspired by British deception operations in North Africa, but this time, it would be American-made, crafted by Broadway set designers, advertising illustrators, and sound engineers. They called it the 23rd Headquarters Special Troops. Only about 1,100 men were selected, but their task was monumental. Create the illusion of up to 30,000 soldiers, trick the German war machine, and do it without getting caught. Among their ranks, Bill Blass, who would go on to become one of America's greatest fashion designers, Ellsworth Kelly, who would later be revered in the world of modern art, and hundreds of others, all with backgrounds in design, sound, radio, or fine arts. This wasn't an army of warriors, it was an army of performers, and their stage was Europe. To deceive the Nazis, the Ghost Army had to create illusions that would stand up to aerial reconnaissance, ground spies, and intercepted radio communications. That meant mastering 4 core tactics. First, visual deception, inflatable rubber tanks, fake trucks made of wood and canvas, dummy artillery batteries. These weren't just props, they were designed with military-grade accuracy to fool enemy scouts flying overhead or ground observers watching from afar. Second, sonic deception. Using state-of-the-art wire recorders, the unit blasted carefully engineered soundtracks of armored divisions on the move. The rumbles, clanks, shouted orders, and engine noise could be heard up to 15 miles away, bouncing off trees and hills to create a convincing soundscape. Third, radio deception. Known as spoof radio, Ghost Army operators would mimic entire divisions' radio traffic. They memorized speech patterns, slang, even inside jokes of specific units. German intelligence was listening, and they believed every word. And lastly, fourth, atmospheric deception. This was psychological warfare at its finest. Soldiers in the Ghost Army wore false insignia, staged fake mess halls, left planted intel for German informants to find, and even painted fake tread marks on roads. In every sense of the word, this was theater, but the stakes, life or death. One of the Ghost Army's greatest performances came in March 1945, just weeks before the end of the war in Europe. The Allies needed to cross the Rhine River, and the Germans were ready to defend it. To tip the scales, the Ghost Army was sent to Viersen, near the actual crossing site. Over the course of a few days, they rolled out inflatable tanks and vehicles along the tree line, set up fake campfires and tents, created phony command posts using empty radio chatter, and blasted mechanized soundtracks of tanks assembling and troops shouting into the night. To anyone observing, it looked and sounded like an entire armored corps was massing for a major offensive. The German commanders took the bait. They repositioned artillery and troops toward the illusion. Meanwhile, several miles away, the real US 9th Army crossed the Rhine with minimal resistance. The Ghost Army didn't just fool the enemy. They helped win a crucial strategic victory, with rubber tanks and a reel-to-reel recorder. These soldiers didn't carry machine guns or storm beaches, but they were still at risk. If captured, they would have been executed as spies, their deception tactics violating the rules of war, and yet they pressed on, mission after mission. From Normandy to the Ardennes, from Metz to the Rhine, they staged over 20 tactical deceptions in total. But when the war ended, there was no parade, no medal, not even a mention. Their work was classified, and their stories buried. Some of them died, never being able to tell their families what they had done. Others quietly returned to civilian life, carrying the secret with them for decades. The Ghost Army was a silent chapter in US military history, hidden in the shadows for over 5 decades. In 1996, their story finally broke through. Declassified records, testimonies, and a growing number of historians helped shed light on their missions. Documentaries, books, and interviews followed. And in 2022, after nearly 80 years, the members of the Ghost Army were finally honored with the Congressional Gold Medal, one of the highest civilian awards in the United States, for saving lives, for confusing the enemy, for winning battles without pulling a trigger. They proved that victory isn't always about strength. Sometimes it's about imagination. History remembers the heroes who fought and died in brutal combat. But the Ghost Army? They fought with shadows. They turned empty fields into battlefronts and made phantoms march across enemy maps. They were artists, designers, storytellers. And their enemy believed the lie every single time. We often say war is hell, but sometimes, in rare moments, war is theater. And the actors? They deserve a standing ovation. This was the Ghost Army. And now, the secret is out.